Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation, and at solicitation of Japan, still in conversation with its government and its emperor, looking toward the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. Indeed, 1 hour after Japanese air squadrons had commenced bombing in the American island of Oahu, the Japanese ambassador to the United States and his colleague delivered to our Secretary of State a formal reply to a recent American message. And while this reply stated that it seemed useless to continue the existing diplomatic negotiations, it contained no threat or hint of war or of armed attack. It will be
This is one of those mornings. Hey, look at that. I clicked that before, too, and that should have worked. So, anyways, I'm going to redo this whole opening. Thank you, Sue. For no, you don't have to. Thank you, Sue, for letting me know that. There we go. There's no sound coming across. Yes, yeah. Sometimes when you've been sick and you're tired, you miss things sometimes. No, actually, I did click that, but it apparently did not take my click. Anyways, let me go back to, let me recap what I just said here. So it is December 7th, 2018. I'm Town Media Director Steve Brogan. This is the Tyngsborough Friday wrap-up, and there's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to chat about, including the Festival of Trees that we just wrapped up, the 10th Annual Festival of Trees, the fact that Tyngsborough is creating a new master plan, so we're inviting everybody to offer their input on that, so that's going to be a big project. Roads in town are being paved. That's awesome. How great is that? Can't disagree with roads being paved. The cold weather is back, so cold and flu season is here, as Dave and I were just sort of chatting about while we were silenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not pretty, so be very careful. We say goodbye to the 41st president, Mr. George H.W. Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, and we remember Pearl Harbor Day. So lots of interesting things happen. And obviously, as I said, my guest, Dave Robson, is here.
Once again, just a big shout out to Allison and everybody that helped her with the center of town. What a great job they did. It just keeps getting better and better every year. So
she did a
keep up the
fantastic
great
job.
job.
Yeah. The whole crew.
Special
I mean,
person
they really
to do
work.
that. Yeah, they work hard.
It takes a special skill to be able to manage all those people and be able to have the creativity that, I mean, I give Allison and her crew that create the trees huge amount of credit, because they did every year they come up with all these different designs.
It
like,
is
how
amazing.
do you even do this?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Beyond my scope.
Right, me too. I couldn't
I'm
do that. Yeah, I'm good with oh man, forget it. I don't even want to string one tree worth of lights. Forget 40 or 50 of them.
I know, it's
Go
crazy.
nuts. And there was 140, what was the number? 145 trees this year at the festival. So that's huge.
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yep.
And usually a lot of people submit their own trees already done, but Allison created quite a few of them, and her team created quite a few. You know, so they have to come up with all these ideas. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, you better them than me.
Yeah, right. Seriously. So, anyways, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about, and as I said, Dave is here, so we're going to talk about dog leashes, and you brought in a special guest to show off, who made an appearance last, what was it, a year ago almost now?
A little over a year.
Something like that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, she made an appearance about a year ago, a little over, and she's back now to well, in sort of the same form, but
she's home.
Home. Yes, she's home again. Right.
I hope this is going to be her home.
She's home. So we're going to.
I know my wife doesn't want it in my house anymore.
Really, I can imagine. See, my wife. Actually, my wife probably wouldn't want it in the house either. She'd freak out. She doesn't like that whole thing. So anyways, so let's talk about dog leashes. What did you want to mention about that?
Just a few things that we have going on in the town. Naturally, we are pro dogs in the town. Naturally, we want people to enjoy the space with the town. But I have been receiving some problem calls that we've had to address.
Oh, really?
At the school, the elementary school on the Bicentennial Fields. So if you could just remember that if you are there with your dog, please, on a leash, be responsible, be respectful to the other people that are out there. And, you know, listen, I understand if you're the only one out there, you want to let your dog off the leash. I'm not going to be running around sitting in trees looking for people. But if someone else shows up with their dog, please put your dog on a leash. Be a responsible dog owner. Keep it away from the other dogs. Some people don't want to be around other dogs. Some dogs don't want to be around each other, and we just avoid a conflict. So
you know what's the worst is when something happens like this, they let their dog off leash, and then they have an encounter with another dog, and they go, "Well, my dog's never done that before." Well, clearly it's never. You may have never seen it do that. Doesn't mean it can't do that.
I say it 100 times. I say it all the time when I'm here. A dog is a dog is a dog. It's an animal.
Right.
You can't predict it. No matter how well trained you think it is, you do not know what's going through their mind. So always wave on the air of caution.
Right. And you never know how dogs are going to interact with other dogs. Sometimes they like each other. Other times they want to kill each other.
Just like humans.
Yeah, right, exactly. You know, maybe we're slightly more
yeah. But it's been a problem in the town. So we're just trying to get the word out there and just do the right thing as a dog owner so that everybody can have a great time on the little fields and stuff that they are. And, you know, please be respectful and pick up any dog mess that your dog may make.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you say that, but there's a lot of people out there that just don't do it, and it affects everybody, including, you know, your kid or someone else's kid playing in the field.
I'll offer this tip for folks who say that the bags are too expensive, which they can be pricey if you buy them, you know, at the first point of sale. Go to the discounted, like I'll say Home Goods, Marshalls. I found a ton of those things, like the 8-packs and the 12-packs for like $4, $5, and there's, you know, 2,000 bags or whatever.
It's a lot cheaper than the fine you can receive.
Right, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
and we will get to the point, if you know, that we will have to fine people that, And I don't want to do that. I'm
No,
not
right.
big on that. That's
Yeah.
not. I'd rather try to do this and educate people and just have them do the right thing as a responsible person.
You mean you don't have a forensics thing in the back of your truck so you can figure out like which dog it came from? And
If I have to, I'll call Tom Walsh in for that. I'll let him probe through that. Sorry, Tommy.
that's an awful job, I got to say. I was gonna
Someone's
say something
gotta
else.
do it.
Right, yeah, exactly. I was going to say something else, but it's not good for TV. So, yeah, so that's no fun. So here's a question for you: if you're at a park, and I'll say a field, actually, I won't say a park. If you're at a field that's fenced in,
Yep.
is it okay or not to bring a pet inside, or does it depend on the field? Does it have to be posted, so on and so forth?
It absolutely depends on the field.
Okay.
Over at the Wickersea ball fields, for instance, no dogs allowed. The
Okay.
sign is clearly posted on the egress to the fields. And once again, it's all results back to it's where children play. It's not a dog park. And you get a couple of people that don't clean up that, because people sneak in there. I can't
Right.
be everywhere in the town at once. So
course
naturally,
not,
I
right.
go when I'm called for problems.
Mhm.
And we hopefully we can get it, squared away very simply as, just to do the right thing. So there are no dogs allowed on those fields over there. As for the bicentennial fields, as for I call it the Tyngsborough campground still, but the Frost Road Park, people go down there. People go over to the Sherburne property and walk their dogs. Your dog should be, especially the Sherburne property, keep your dog on a leash. There's a lot of wildlife over there.
Yeah, right.
And you will not be able to protect your dog if something should happen.
So that's actually, you raise a good point. That's another interesting thing that people do have to think about, that a lot of times we forget because we live in, we think we live in a semi-rural or semi-urban area.
Right.
The wildlife's still around. I mean, bobcats and coyotes and
Absolutely.
porcupines, even the things that don't bite necessarily. Porcupines are, I'd say this probably does a little more damage than a bobcat. So bobcat's going to probably walk away and be like, whatever.
Probably more costly when you get to the veterinarian.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, so
you have to think about that.
Right. So you got to keep those things in mind because you don't want to have to mess with that. Pulling those quills out of.
And with the weather we've been having, the porcupines, the skunks, the squirrels. You see, one day you don't see any squirrels. It warms up a little bit. You see the squirrels. So same with the skunks and the porcupines. I mean, they all look cute when they're in a distance, but when you're out walking your dog and your dog kind of wanders off 30, 40 feet from you, next thing you know, you hear the dog yelp, come out, and there's your porcupine quills and your veterinarian bill. So best bet is to keep it on leash like you're supposed to. So
And porcupines don't shoot their quills like they do in the cartoons. We discussed that once before on this show.
Yes. I do believe you got the message.
I did, yes. I very much did.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So you've mentioned to me one time before, speaking of leashes, that the extendable leashes are actually not allowed.
Correct.
Apparently.
I'm not, I'll say it 100 times, I'm not a big citation writer. Permissible in Massachusetts is a lead no greater than 6 feet. That's the law.
Okay.
So do people use them? Do they use them properly? Yeah, most people do. But if it comes down to your dog getting into a fight with another dog or another dog, depending on the leash, you could be cited for it if an instance happens. So it's one of those things, same as your dog being off the leash. I'm not in the woods looking for everybody, but if something should happen, I have to enforce the law. That's, to protect the innocent. And that would be the person that has their dog on a leash doing the proper thing. But yet your dog can roam 20 feet in front of you. So you don't have control of your animal at 20 feet out.
Even if
Absolutely
they're
not.
the most highly trained dog, you don't necessarily have control of your
Everybody's dog's highly trained until there's an incident.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Even
absolutely.
canine dogs and dogs that are highly trained, like you don't know that they're going to not take off after that squirrel,
Right.
Or whatever.
Anything's possible. They're an animal. It's that simple. So
Yeah,
hopefully we as humans can do the right thing and keep everything in check and everybody's happy. Because like I said, I want people to enjoy going out in our trails, going out in our parks and seeing that and stuff. But just got to be very, very proactive on, doing the right thing for everybody else. So
I think the key word there is responsible. You got to be responsible for their mess. You got to be responsible for their care. You got to be responsible for following the rules as are probably stated on signs and whatnot, and the rules of the responsibility of other people around you.
I've
to
seen
not
other
put them in
towns,
danger.
that have $100, $200 fines just for
Really?
just for the dog being there.
Oh, really?
Period. They don't
Oh,
care
wow.
if it's on a leash because that's their rules. No dogs, and we don't want to go to that.
Right.
We're not at that point in
Yeah.
Tyngsborough. So hopefully we can all work together and get along and do the right thing.
I feel like the problem a lot of times with those kinds of rules is they come about because one or two people were not cool and left their messes or caused a problem somehow otherwise.
It's one complaint.
Yeah.
It
all it takes.
it spoils the fun for everybody.
Right, exactly.
So
Let me ask you this on the no leash thing. So say you're walking your dog's on a leash. There's another dog around, not on a leash. that dog not on the leash comes over and suddenly starts to like kind of attack your dog or you or whatever, what do you do? I mean, what's the recourse? Because I've had it happen to me. I'll say, for example, I've had it happen to me, and my dog actually ran around me and tied my legs up on my leash, so I was now tangled. It was awful. It was a bad day. Yeah.
That exactly. And I mean, let's just say, for instance, now, not someone young like you, energetic, right? Yes, you're probably a little startled, but what if it's a 60, 70-year-old male, female walking their dog, and that instant happens? Yeah. We don't want that. So naturally, you'll be fined immediately. That's like a zero tolerance. That you just can't get by that. And then now you subject yourself to civil suit with the person if they're injured. So I mean, it's you got to be careful.
Yeah, you definitely got to be careful with that. I didn't even think of the civil suit part.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I would have to do a report on it, and the report would be naturally be able to be released to the person that was injured, and away they go with doing whatever they want to do civilly. So
interesting.
You got to be careful. You know, and nobody's dog is 100% foolproof. So keep that in mind, and I think it works for everybody.
Makes sense. Now, getting back on sort of the wildlife and just kind of being in general prepared, obviously you should bring poop bags with you and a leash, of course.
Sure.
What are some other things that you would suggest dog owners have kind of maybe in their little poop bag pouch or in their pocket or something like that in case of encounters?
You could have pepper spray. You can carry pepper. You can buy it at Home Depot. Home Depot sells it.
Yeah, they even sell it now, right?
Wherever it's sold regularly. You could have a stick. You could have anything you really want. I mean, you're going to protect yourself, and that's that. So, but main thing is just be aware, and if you see somebody with their dog, give them a yell. Hey, I'm over here with my dog. Put your dog on a leash, and hopefully they're responsible enough and they do it. So, when it comes to wildlife, especially most wildlife in our area is not going to come after you. And I mean, yes, if it's sick, it could.
Right,
we've seen it with the foxes. Sure, we've seen it with the foxes in different towns, not ours, thankfully, so far. But it happens. So you just got to be prepared for it. Don't think that something won't happen. Think on what you would do if it does, and that way you'll be better prepared. That's all.
Makes sense. Good advice for sure. Just to be cognizant of the things that are around you that you might not necessarily see. Including Dave Robson's head behind a bush somewhere. He's gonna be like this.
My head won't even hide behind the bush. I'm going to say it before people start writing in. I know my friends are watching right now. No, that head's not going to hide behind a bush.
With the sun shining off of it.
They're going to tell you we don't have any redwoods in Tyngsborough. No, it's just all about being alert of your surroundings whenever you're out.
Okay.
So, definitely.
All right.
Especially with the skunks.
Yeah, those guys.
That smell will be around forever.
So
if I walk through a yard that we have to dispatch one because it's sick or whatever, my shoes will smell for at least a week.
Oh, Sue must hate that.
I have to leave them outside.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They have to stay outside.
Don't bring those shoes in the house.
They will smell just from the walking on the grass. So
what about uniforms and stuff? I mean, imagine you probably get
only if you get sprayed.
Yeah.
Which I haven't.
Not yet. Right.
No. So, but yeah, your shoes it'll be on. But if your dog gets it, I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's happening to me too. It's not fun. And unlike the porcupines, skunk can shoot that spray, right? It's like, what is it, 30 feet ish, somewhere in that neighborhood?
I don't know. I'm not going to find out.
I've never tried to test it myself.
I'm not even going to look at it. Yeah, no, they do. Yeah, they lift their tail and spray, and that's their mechanism of defense. So. And you've smelt it. You'll smell it for miles at times. So it works.
When my when my dog got sprayed, we didn't know she got sprayed at first. Like the first 30 seconds, because she was in the corner of the yard and comes running in.
Yeah.
And then, with almost instantly, as soon as she got past us through the doorway, my wife and I, the smell started to creep up, and then we were like, like something's bad here. This is not good. And then she was in the house. So try, if they do get sprayed, try not to let them in the house if you can manage it.
It's an oil
catch it
that's
in time.
It's an oil that's gonna rub up against your door well on the way in, on your carpet, where anything. So you definitely want to, before you bring your dog in the house. I do it every morning. I'm out with my dog 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and when we get to the door,
wow.
Yeah, I got a full 45 minutes of sleep. When I get to the door, I always pet my dog or whatever, or so that the dog's near me for a couple of seconds, because my dog does run in the woods in the morning at my house and does her business and comes back, and I'm not watching her every move.
Right. Yeah.
You're
not over her shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, she's out in the woods doing her business and she comes back. So I'm susceptible to the same thing everybody else is. If there's a coyote out there, then that's my problem. You know what I mean? I take that chance on as I let my dog out every day. So, and I do it.
Skunking is like the lottery you never want to win.
No, not at all.
It's a bad one.
Not at all.
What would you, actually, I have a question I want to ask you. Somebody asked a question on Facebook. She said, can we use plastic bags to pick up waste if plastic bags are banned in Tyngsborough? Good question, Donna.
The bags that they sell at the pet stores and whatnot, those are biodegradable. So those are the ones you want to use.
Okay.
And yes, as far as we know, our law in town now has changed to no plastic bags. So that definitely falls under the same
So
category.
I wonder though if that's on the retail use of those bags.
Yeah.
Biodegradable bags I would think wouldn't count, right, to that extent.
Correct.
But then, like, if you go to, say, Market Basket up the road in Nashua and bring the plastic bags back, you could probably use them to pick up your poop because you're just throwing them in the trash anyways, right?
You could,
I
but
don't
I
see it.
mean, as the town of Tyngsborough, we're trying to be more green, we'll say.
Oh, right, of course,
So,
yeah.
I mean, we'll try to use it as that. Just, once again, do what you think's right. And, you know, I personally, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to pick it up with the disposable one that biodegradable and throw it away. Just because
it's a good way to do it, yeah.
Our little law in Tyngsborough now, and that girl did a great presentation that brought it. I can't
She
remember
did,
her
yeah.
name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But she did a great job presenting that to the town and had it pass through. And I think it's great. It's great for the community.
Cool. Yeah. No, it is good. I actually agree with the no plastic bag thing myself.
Yeah.
They're just too many of them. You can't get rid of them other than to ball them up and bring them back to some store, which is a hassle.
I don't know
Nobody
how
wants to do
kids
that.
go through school not being able to draw on their book.
It's a good.
I
Yeah,
used
that's a
to
good point.
Use a paper bag,
Me
draw
too.
on my book, do whatever I want, you know.
That was a thing. Like the couple days before school, or rather after the first day of school, when you got all your books, you'd go home that
Correct.
night, and they told you have to cover the book.
Absolutely.
It was like a rule, you know.
It's called discipline and doing what you're told and a structure that we all
Right,
learned.
yeah.
And
And then you got to draw on them after, which was great. It was
Absolutely.
fun. You know, when you were
Yeah.
bored and doodling in class, falling asleep like.
I'm sorry, Steve. I was paying attention when I was in school. I don't know what you were doing.
I'm sure you were. So here, question for you. Getting back on the skunk thing.
Sure.
Any tips for people getting skunk smell out if they happen to, God forbid, have that encounter?
I mean, you know, the old farmer's way type thing is everybody's always said tomato juice. There's so many products on the market nowadays. Give it your best shot. That's what I say, because it's tough. It's a gift that keeps on giving for
Yes.
you know, it'll be, even when you think you've gotten it all, you're gonna still sit there, you know, an hour or so later going, oh, I still smell it.
Oh, it
because-
lingers, yeah.
Oh, and it's in your nostrils.
Right.
It's there.
Right.
So it happens to me.
Burns.
It
dude,
happens to me.
burns. Yeah,
I
it's
smell
so
it.
bad.
I smell it for hours after I've picked up a skunk.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it is just creeping me out.
Yeah.
We did a baking soda. What was it? It was baking soda and water paste.
Yep.
And something vinegar, baking soda and vinegar, I think, paste. And
all neutralizers.
yeah, all neutralizers, and rubbed that into her fur when she had gotten one, and seemed to actually do the trick. But I mean, I don't know for sure. It took a few
Monsters Inc. When you shave them down, when they shave the monster down, that's what you want to do.
washes. Suddenly got a hairless dog.
Yeah.
What breed of dog is
Anything.
that?
Because it's on the fur.
Oh my goodness, it's the worst. It really is.
Yeah.
So we talked about leashes, we talked about skunks and wildlife and all that other kinds of stuff. What else you want to chat about? got on your mind?
Naturally leashed. I'm sorry. The registrations are available at Town Hall.
Oh, right,
Go and
dog
see,
registrations.
the clerk and get your dog registration. Once again, I'll say it time and time again. Please register your dog. It's very inexpensive. We know where your dog belongs when we find it. It's whether it's midnight or noontime during the day. We'll get your dog back to you ASAP, and you don't get a fine. It's very simple. It's very inexpensive. I mean, we probably have one of the cheapest around in the area still.
I think
So
it's what, $15?
7 and 11, I believe.
7 11.
So
there you go.
it's-
Thank you. I
it's-
think
it's-
15 if it's late or something
Yeah,
like that, right?
well, you get a $25 late fee on top of. I can give you.
Okay,
There's
my
so
numbers are
many
off.
things that fall in place with it. You know, a fine for not having your tags on, a fine for not having the dog tagged. I
right.
mean, it just goes on and on. So it's a very inexpensive way to be, once again, responsible, do the right thing for your dog, and your dog will go right back home. You know, so
Well, and that's really just to make sure that everybody has their rabies vaccinations, because you need the rabies vax
Absolutely.
to get that license. I feel like that's one of those things, though, the dog licensing, that many of us run. I mean, I can't say I've never done it either. We all kind of run afoul of that one every now and again. 'Cause
Absolutely.
it's, like, it's my dog. Why do I have to register? You know what I mean? Like you get
Oh,
that
and
kind of
some people think, oh, it's a small dog. It's
right.
It's
I've
similar
heard that
to
one
their
many
cat.
times. Yeah.
That, oh, it never goes out of the house. Yeah,
Yeah.
But the one time that it does, for the $7 or $11, we'll know right where it belongs. It goes back to your house. I'm pretty good after I've seen dogs in the town for a little while. I'm pretty good at knowing where they are, but I don't know where all of them belong.
Right. Yeah. I
So-
imagine you get a pretty good pulse though on what dog belongs to whom, because you probably get the same calls, or rather the calls for the same dogs, time and again. I imagine, right?
It's not so much that I get the same calls for the dogs, but just being in the town all the time, driving around, seeing people, whether it be at a sporting event with their dog, seeing people
Oh, okay. Yeah.
just driving by their yard, seeing the dog. And then if most dogs will be in the general neighborhood of where they live, and you can be like, oh, I know where that dog lives. It belongs on Norris Road. And you bring the dogs home, and that's it, So
Excellent.
it's
Does that happen a lot, that people's dogs take off and you end up having to go trace them down?
yeah, more than you'd expect.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, much more than you expect. But nobody, if the kid will come home from school and all of a sudden the door opens, the dog runs out, or they're getting ready for work in the morning, they let the dog out, the dog didn't come back. I get it. People have a job, they have a responsibility, they're going to go off to work. But the main thing is call us and let us know that your dog's missing so that we'll be on the lookout. A lot of people don't think to call animal control when their dog's missing. I don't know why, but it just slips their mind. And I mean, if it's because your dog's not registered, I don't care. I really don't, because I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell everybody. You have 5 days to register your dog. Just go down to the town, take care of it. It's done. Yes, you may get a late fee because that's the rules of the
Everybody
rules.
gets charged a late fee,
But
right?
I have discretion where I can say, I'm not going to give you a fine for not having your dog registered. That's my discretion. And I do it for everybody. I don't pick and choose. You're going to get... I shouldn't... I'm not even going to... Normally, I don't even give you a fine the second time. Do you know what where I'm
Yes,
going here?
yes.
I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
But
You're trying to give people the benefit of the doubt.
eventually, they'll do the right thing, or I have to do my job, and then you get a fine. But I don't like writing fines. It's not...
So, Dave, we'll give you chances, but don't push it too far. That's basically what I think is being
Don't
said.
make me look bad at my job. That's all I ask,
Right,
all right?
right.
Because then I have to do it. So,
Yeah.
but I definitely have discretion on things, and I use that for your advantage. So it works out for both of us.
I was just thinking, I wonder if people don't call animal control because they think of it in the negative connotation where, like, oh, animal control has got to come out. It's because my dog did something wrong or whatever. That's probably what they think they would need to call animal control for, or to call it on somebody else, maybe.
Yeah, people get nervous for different things,
Yep.
and some people get nervous over the smallest things. Some people just never get nervous, and they just don't care. They
true.
usually end up with a fine.
Right.
But the majority of people, they're just a little bit nervous, thinking, oh, I didn't do this. I should have done. Now I'm going to get. You're not going to get the fine the first time. I'm not that guy. I'm here to educate people. That's why they send me to so much school, and that's what I do. I get educated so I can transfer it on to the 12,000 people in Tyngsborough. It's that simple.
Excellent.
So.
Excellent. Well, we are in very good hands with Dave Robson as our animal control officer. You do know quite a bit. You have a very extensive knowledge.
I'm learning every day.
No, I'm sure. But I mean, as far like when I ask you a question, you always have a good answer for what my question is.
I'm glad you think
for the
they're
most
good.
part. So let's chat now a bit about wildlife
Sure.
more, because you brought in this guest that we want to show off in a minute. But there's a number of things kind of going on. The animals are moving and whatnot, all the wildlife. So
Yep.
what's going on out there?
It's been relatively quiet. The best thing that's happened to animal control is what's that? The bear sighting page, Tyngsborough bear sighting page.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know who invented that page, but thank you.
It's a good page. Yeah.
It's a great page because they don't call me. They have fun amongst themselves as town residents,
Right.
joking and having fun. But once again, it boils down to, if you got to remember that if you're feeding any wildlife, you run the risk of the bear coming through your yard to eat.
Right.
And you're not just, even though you may think it's cute, fun, fuzzy, whatever you might be, you're affecting neighbors that maybe don't want it. So, and there's laws against feeding the bear and any other wildlife. That you don't want to be enticing them to hang out.
Right. And so to clarify too, feeding doesn't just involve you throwing out like last night's scrap dinner, but bird seed is like their favorite snack. Oh, obviously honey, but bird
Winnie
seed.
the Pooh? What do you got?
What
No,
else?
you're right. Sweets. They love sweets. Come on, Steve. You don't like sweets too?
I'm
Come on.
I plead the fifth.
Right. But yeah, it's any types of food. And then if they're hungry, I mean, they're going to eat.
Right.
Just like you or I. I'll try something that I normally wouldn't try if it's the only thing there.
Yeah, right.
If I'm hungry,
If you're hungry,
I'll try it.
if you're hungry enough, even if it's
and
moldy.
I say it all the time. If Flint's didn't sell pizza, I wouldn't go over to. I'm not going over there to see, the employees. I'm going over there to eat. Sorry.
Right.
But I'm on a mission.
No offense, guys.
Yeah. So just make sure you do your right thing with your trash, and especially with the skunks and the raccoons. If you don't want them in your yards, keep your trash cleaned up.
Yeah.
Put your recyclables out. Your trash and stuff out in the morning if you can.
Yeah.
Don't put it out the night before, because once again, if you're a pet owner and you have your trash out, and it just so happens that Pepe Le Pew was walking by that night, and next thing you know, he's still at your barrels when you're dogging, you go out in the morning. It's a recipe for disaster for you. So
I've had a struggle with a raccoon at my house, and I can't seem to catch him. I'm going to get him one of these days, though, the little bugger. He goes into, we have the trash cans, and I don't have any place to store them inside other than the garage, which I don't want to do that because the cars are in there.
Right.
And so he keeps lifting the lid and goes down in it. I'm trying to figure out ways to secure the thing without having to bring it in the house. But, yeah.
There's ways. We can talk.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's a bugger, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, if you put a rock on it, I'll tell you right now, he'll pull it over still.
Really, really?
Of course he will.
Jeez. Okay.
He'll pull it over.
I was going to do that, actually.
They will work at it until they get in. They'll
Okay.
work at it until they get in. If they smell something, they'll work at it until they get in. So
The worst part is if you have babies. I won't go into detail, but if you have babies in diapers,
Sure.
just come on, guys.
Yep.
Raccoon, seriously, go away. Got things to do.
your wife's videotaping it in the room. You look at him. There he is again.
Out there with gloves on.
I told them to get a better secure system for that trash.
She did. She has, actually. I've
course
got like
she
a
has.
hazmat suit on, long gloves and boots. And, oh, my God. It's awful.
Sure.
It's brutal. Oh, that's funny. So do you want to show off your guest?
I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
So I'm going to adjust Dave's shot so you can see what he's got here. And here, we'll go to that for a second. And let me pop this camera up here so you can show this. But yeah.
Forward, backward. Where do I want to go?
Bring her right in.
Do I need to move? You want me to move this out of the way? Is it
No,
good?
you can
Okay,
just
that's
kind
good.
of push it forward a little bit if you want. That way you have some room to kind of maneuver. And if you want to talk, obviously you have to lean into the mic. But
Go ahead. Any questions? Go ahead.
well, hold up. Let's hold her up. Let's show her off because she's kind of obscured by the thing back there. So this is the Bobcat from a year ago, a little plus, a little more than. We did a Facebook video of her before, right after she had been hit,
Correct.
unfortunately,
Yep.
and showed off the claws and all that cool stuff.
Yep.
But I learned a lot from this thing, and you have this now. You were able to get the permit from the state,
Yep.
right, to
I'm gonna
keep
set it
her.
down.
Yeah, sure, to keep her and get her stuffed, which is awesome.
We obtained a salvage permit
Okay.
for this and an owl.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to potentially leaving this here. I want to leave this here at Town Hall so people can come in and see it at the library side over here. The owl went to the middle school and is on display over there.
Oh, okay.
And that will remain there forever unless we use it for any educational purposes that we might go outside of the school. But other than that, it's just you do not get a permit to have an owl. It's a salvage permit that I was able to obtain from the state due to my job and where it went.
Okay.
In which I had to get a letter from the principal of the school, even me,
Really?
animal control. Yes.
No kidding. Wow.
They're that
very
protect-
strict on that. Huh?
Absolutely. You can't have a feather. They don't want you to have a feather.
Really?
Yep. So they're very protected, and we have to respect that. But the bird that we had gotten that had gotten struck was in very good shape, so I felt it was a good opportunity for us to have something to use for the kids to see and, then educate them on different things when I hopefully go back into the school. I did a thing last year with Miss Craig's class with a ring-necked pheasant I took
cool.
over there, which nobody probably under the age of 25 knows what one is because they're just gone from our area. But so things like that. So it's there for me to go over and discuss with the kids if, need be the time. And as with this Bobcat, I would definitely take this over to the schools for the children and stuff to see and give them a little education on that, on the do's and don'ts with these. So.
So you can use it for show and tell for the kids and other educational purposes. Now, where's this one gonna live?
I'm hoping it stays right here. I'd like to donate it to the library side over here so that people coming in and out. It was struck by a car right out here on Kendall Road, which is relatively close. So I'm sure it was living in this area over here. It's probably one of the ones that you guys have seen behind the town hall
I wouldn't
here.
be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where I'd like it to stay.
In fact, I believe we did get video of this one. One of the trail cam videos I posted.
Yeah.
It was a similar size.
I can't
and-
remember the exact street, but somebody had posted this maybe a couple of months ago.
Okay.
I think they had 6 bobcats in their yard.
Wow.
Okay, so it's a rarity, but that just goes to show how many are out here in the town. So, and that's just, if you saw 6, there's good chance there's more than 6 bobcats in Tyngsborough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
wow, that's
yeah,
incredible though.
they're
All in one
thriving.
place.
Yeah, they're
Huh.
thriving.
What-
There's a lot of squirrels and chipmunks and things of that nature, rabbits for them to eat. So,
Okay. I was just going to ask you, what is it that's caused them to have kind of a population
Well,
explosion? I guess.
I think it's 2 things. I think we're seeing more of them because they're losing their territory. So were they out there all the time? Probably. And then just the the amount of squirrels, believe it or not, bobcats will track down a squirrel and catch it. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen anybody, because I've never done it myself, but shoot a squirrel. And squirrels is they hear everything. They're very panicky. They move.
Very smart.
These guys and girls they hunt them down.
Wow.
They control the population.
I need to bring some to my house.
These are fast. They'll take care of that raccoon for you.
Is there a way I could coax the bobcat to my house?
Oh, they're out there. You just haven't seen them yet.
That's true.
They are all over the place, so, which is great. It's great to see them. So
yeah, it is cool. It's cool to see nature doing its thing and thriving. I mean, so like I always remember the example of when I was a kid, hawks and falcons and all that stuff were just void from this area. You did not see one around here. Yeah. And now they're everywhere. I mean, they've decimated the pigeon population, which is great. Right. But they're everywhere. So it's cool to see that nature kind of like coming back, making resurgence, getting strong. And
it's got a lot to do with, I hope to think it does, with people being a little bit wiser and without, a lot of, you can't hunt with lead anymore. So lead's a big poisoner to wildlife, period.
Right. We've talked about this before. Yeah, the lead shot that
the birds,
they end up eating.
Just everything. It's it's very tough on them. So
it's tough on us too. So I can imagine it's just as bad on creatures.
Don't use it. Hunt with the good means and do your thing. Because hunting's definitely we'll get into a little of that maybe too with the deer season and all that. So because hunting's good too. We got to control things too to keep everything in check. So
how do you suggest hunters go about? So, I mean, obviously you're not going to be taking down bobcats if you happen to see them, or can they? And same thing with coyotes. What's the protocol?
Coyotes, you can definitely hunt. I just had a call a couple of weeks ago about a couple in town that a gentleman had shot. Okay. 100% legal, legit. I called the state. I deal with a gentleman, David Wright, out there for the environmental police, who's very helpful to myself and our department. And the guy he had tagged him already. You have till March to tag him. He had already had his tagged. He's permitted to hunt and stuff. So, yeah, there's a season for coyotes and stuff. And naturally, once again, if you're out and you see them, give them their space if you're not a hunter. And you give them their space.
We had one question on Facebook come in. Said, was the bobcat struck? Yes, Mark, it was struck. It was just out front on...
just past the parking ride. Right after the first entrance, if you were to come off of exit 35, it was struck right there it went last fall, I think it was. So it's not quite a year, maybe. Yeah, somewhere around there.
It was cold though. I remember.
Oh yeah, there was snow on the ground.
So, right. Yeah. So it was struck, thankfully, and it was one of those ones where again you thought it was in good enough condition that it was worth saving and getting stuffed and
a gentleman from from Chelmsford did this. Doug Perry.
Okay.
He did this mount for us. Did a great job because it did have. Believe it or not, you saw it. We took a lot of pictures of it. Yeah. It did have a lot of head trauma to it, so that's where the impact was. But he did a great job, and
it looks gorgeous.
Now we have something to to display and to hopefully educate people with.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Getting back on the hunting thing, I was going to ask you. I had a question and I lost it. So I saw the question on Facebook. I'm like, oh, question. Totally lost it.
Easy, Dory.
You're right. I know. Seriously, I'm wicked bad. Sometimes I'm just all over the place. If you're not a hunter, say you have no hunting license or anything like that, but a pack of coyotes shows up on your property and you're able to dispatch them if you so choose, you're there and ready. Yep. Is that against the rules? Can you do that? Do you have to call animal control immediately after that happens? Does it matter to call them, or can you just bury it and get rid of it?
No, you definitely want to. For starters, you're dispatching a firearm within the 500 feet of a dwelling, so you definitely don't want to be doing that if you don't have to. Number one thing, if you're not physically out hunting to for your sport, for your to survive for food. I know there's people out there that never buy meat; they use their deer meat. But if you are in an encounter like that, first thing is to just retreat, leave them. You know what I mean? Go away. As long as they're not. I mean, if it's your last act of defense and you have to do it, yes, then you do it, and then you contact the police department, and we handle it from there. Okay. But I will say, any type of shooting of any wildlife out of season trips a flag. The environmental police will be involved, and we take it serious.
Okay.
So,
is there a season for coyote?
Yes. It's all different districts of for hunting on which district does what and everything. There's not bear districts in zones in some spots. There are not. So, best thing to do is get on Mass Wildlife, look up whatever you're going to be hunting, and know the rules to hunt.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I mean, I was coming at it more from the vein of like, these just showed up and.
Biggest thing is not a lot of people carry a firearm with them all the time. So And this is the thing, see, the environmental police will be questioning you. Well, if you're not a hunter, do you have a license to carry a firearm? Because if you had time to go in your house and get it and come back out, and it wasn't going after your animal in its mouth, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's a good point.
Use your brain.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
that's a good
use your
point.
brain. There'll be a problem.
Yeah.
And myself and the environmental police, anybody, we're here to protect humans, but wildlife is big for us. You know, we do know humans' life is, you know, we rank top, but there's definitely a pecking order, and if you break that chain out of recklessness and foolishness, you'll pay the consequences for it, because the environmental police take it serious.
Interesting.
So
yeah. Don't needlessly kill nature if you don't
nah,
need to.
There's
what
no
about
need
squirrels?
What about squirrels?
And raccoons? They matter? Anybody care?
If they're not in the house, are they bothering you?
They get in the house, though.
If they get in the house, there's a different story.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, we all got to coexist.
That's true.
Right?
That's a good
So
point.
let's do our best.
Bonnie Murray chimed in and said grease traps and grills, getting back on the bear thing.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good...
Bonnie certainly doesn't live in Tyngsborough. I do know where Bonnie lives. And she has bear out there.
Does she?
But absolutely, yes. Any type of cooking that you do, even if you were to cook something over the open fire pit, say you want to show your children or your whatever, and you got hot dogs and hamburgers and you're rolling them on a spigot, or you have them in between the metal, and that grease is dropping down into that fire, and that odor will be there for the bear to smell, and raccoons and everything. So it's all about being wise. So if you do a little bit of studying or due diligence on looking into what they like and don't like, then you'll protect yourself and your neighbors.
Right.
Because that's the biggest thing when people feed. And I know they love to feed to see the beautiful animals and everything, but you got to have have respect. Birds will survive without us. Every animal. We're the worst problem for animals, as you know. So
my mother-in-law is a bird fanatic, loves to feed the birds, and I keep having to tell her, we live up in Brookline, so not very far away.
Right, sure.
But yeah, I keep having to tell her, you can't leave seed out. You just can't. You know, the best we can do every now and again is sue it, and that's
And the birds, you realize that every part of nature that eats something and drops it somewhere else, especially all these plantings and stuff, that's how it reclaims itself out into the wild. So it's a lot of people don't think of that chain when they think of the wildlife. So whatever they ingest, they get rid of, and the seeds and stuff like that, some grow into new plantings.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a cycle that needs to keep going. So
you get a field of sunflowers.
If you're feeding the birds and they're not eating the berries off the tree because they got this free meal over here, then those aren't replenishing themselves. So
that's an interesting point. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Every little seed that comes out, could serve a purpose.
See, I like talking to you because you tell me things that like oh yeah.
These are all lies, Steve. I'm just
He's really smart.
I'm just throwing the bait out there and you're grabbing it. No.
You're either really smart or I'm really dumb. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Your wife says you're gullible, but hey, that's
she does.
No, yes. That's it's all a circle. It's a circle. So
the circle of life. Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So anything else you want to talk about as far as wildlife and things like that before we move on to some other things? Chat about some other
no,
subjects?
just the main thing is leash law.
Okay.
Please take into consideration leash law, and definitely take into consideration right now if you're out walking your dog or your child at night. It's dark. We've had a lot of fog, crazy weather stuff. Just be very vigilant to the people that are driving on their cell phones, and because that's what you got to be very careful nowadays. So because nobody's paying attention when they're driving a car. So if you're still the person that likes to go out and walk on the sidewalk, on the street, and I say sidewalk because you just don't know nowadays. So always be aware of your surroundings for everything, wildlife and cars, and because it's dangerous. So
can we get a team of officers to just go and pull people over that are like literally like this?
Well,
it drives me crazy.
Trust me, if they see
it's
them,
amazing.
they will pull them over. But it's just once again, you can't take the police department and go, all right, go find those people.
I kid.
But most of the time, they just, as with me with dogs, it falls into your lap. You'll be standing there, and all of a sudden, there it is.
Yeah.
So, but it's nothing that they go out having to search for. But people just need to be responsible.
They really do.
So
really get off your phones, please.
Yeah.
Do it for my sake, for your sake, for your kids' sake, your pet's sake. Wildlife's sake, because if you're looking at your phone, you might miss the deer. Last night, actually, driving home, a deer ran right in front of my car between me and another vehicle. Had I been looking at a phone, I might not have seen it.
It's mating season for the everything's stirring up the wildlife for the deer and everything. So you want to be very careful. I don't know if you've seen it. I won't know it word for word, but there's a commercial that I've seen a couple times on TV. It's these two girls that go to a phone booth, I said, and they put the quarter in and they make a phone call. Then they get back in the car and it pops to like our time now, 2018.
Yeah.
And the girl picks up her phone to make a phone call, and it says, back in the day, a phone call cost you 25 cents. Today, it could cost you your life. And that's something that people should drill into their children's heads.
It's a powerful
and
message.
the adults, if they're driving with their phones, knock it off.
That's a powerful message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids. I mean, I see adults do it too, but kids definitely do it as
Yeah.
well. It's just you can't help but look around and notice them, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
One more question before we move on. I want to ask
Sure.
you this: does hunting season, which we're in now because it's the fall time
Sure.
or winter, kind of, I guess, does that affect the movement of the animals? Do they suddenly become
100%.
a lot more active? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. We'll see more deer strikes this time of year naturally. We find deer that are injured from, unfortunately can be from hunters that shot it, it got away. You are supposed to report that you had one get away if you do not retrieve.
Are you really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, you are supposed to report that. And right down to, the backyards. I don't know if animals are as smart as I think they are, but for some reason you start to see them kind of sticking around in areas like they almost know they can't be shot. It's weird.
I have noticed that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's just because, when they're moving during the day, they're hearing the noises or they're smelling the scents of the hunters, so they stay out of there, so they're kind of limited to an area. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. It really
they're
is.
living under my deck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that raccoon, I tell you. Cool. So we learned a lot today, actually, as far as animals and hunting and wildlife and leashes. Obviously, be
Yeah.
cognizant of the things that you have to do as a dog owner.
Yep.
There's lots of sort of do's and don'ts and things that we're supposed to pay attention to: dog licenses, dog leashes, picking up after them.
I know everybody loves their dogs and
Mhm.
stuff, but there's a time and place for dogs, and whether you're going to the store for a quick second, it's not, try to leave your dog at home. Your dog's better off at home than it is out in the car, sitting in the car, whether it be hot or cold. And then, some people get all cranky. I get it. The dogs, some people leave their car running in the summertime with their air conditioner on. It's, it's their gas, it's their choice,
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
But I know people aren't bringing their dogs with them because they want to try to, inflict harm on them. They're bringing them because they love them. But
Right,
you just
yeah.
got to remember that your dog is with you. It's just like a child. So
Right.
just pay attention to that.
Right.
Cold
There you
or
go.
hot.
Right.
Cold or hot.
Treat it like you would treat one of your kids, which most people do anyways. But
Yeah.
yeah, don't
Sometimes
leave them
better.
in hot. That's true,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
That's why-
Absolutely.
That's why my dog always gets fed first and I eat second. My wife's like, here you go, Zoe.
It works. It works the opposite. You get the scraps.
It's exactly the opposite. That's awesome. So lots of cool stuff. Thank you again for coming in to chat about
Thanks
all
for
that
having
stuff. Before you run away, I want to chat quickly. We can talk a little bit about, number one, the roads being paved, well, at least Kendall anyways, being paved in town, which is unbelievable.
Can I backtrack for 1 minute?
Go
here?
ahead,
Back
sure.
on animal things.
Okay, go ahead.
Best Friends is
Yep.
going to be opening their new facility, and I believe it's going to be. It's going to be January 5th.
Okay.
I'll be contacting the lady today. I will be there on their grand opening day. If people should have questions or anything when it comes to
good.
anything pertaining to that, we also will have a little something coming up that I'll be grabbing you that I think will be interesting to the town. I'm not going to release it
Okay. Yeah.
now,
We can
but
talk
we have
offline.
something coming up that I
Cool.
want you to film for us.
All right.
And then other than that, just make sure you register your dogs like you're supposed to and keep them on the leash when need be. And like I said, if you're by yourself in that field and your dog is in command enough and you want to, I'm not a crazy nut when it comes to stuff like that. As
Mhm.
long as you're responsible enough to put it on its leash when people come back through. So
Right.
just
Like you
be
said,
responsible.
when you're by yourself. That's
Absolutely.
the operative word there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but just remember, you also take the risk of something happening to your dog
Mhm.
if it were to run off or get hit by a car, sprayed by a skunk, anything, a coyote. You run that risk. So, but enjoy your dog. So,
Cool. Good. It's a lottery. Just be careful.
Sure
and
is.
Hope you don't win the lottery. Excellent. All right. So, what were we just talking about? So we talked about we were talking about roads quickly, like starting to pave roads. I posted it a couple of episodes ago. There is an actual schedule for anybody who's interested as far as the order of roads that are going to be paved. So if you want to go on and see where that schedule is, where your street rather lies on that schedule. You can check that out. It's on the TyngsboroughMA.gov website, and I'm going to go dig it up again. I'll try to post it in the comment section so you guys can check that out if you want to see that. That's always nice to see. They did a great job out here. It's like glass driving down Kendall Road, and it was fantastic.
Well, from what was out there to what is there now.
Yeah, it was like the lunar landing.
I think I could have done it.
I was about ready to get out there with like a hammer and chisel, start chipping away at the mountains. Oh my God, it was like lunar landing.
It was rough, unfortunately, but worth the wait. We got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's done. They're doing a great job, and progress is good.
Yes, progress is good. So also, we talked a little bit in the beginning about the Festival of Trees. It was the 10th annual. It was fantastic. So many people turned out. We had 145 trees, I think, was the final number.
That's unbelievable.
Altogether, the ice house thing. I mean, it was just super cool. I'm going to be releasing some photos probably Monday as soon as I can get through some of them. I have like 1,500 photos that I snapped, and I got to go through and edit some and whatnot. But I'll be releasing some photos of the festival on Monday, so you can check that out. But yeah, it was a great festival. It was awesome. So hats off to Allison Page and her entire crew of volunteers. All the guys who go and like do all the lighting, which that's a whole. I mean, I joked saying I hate like stringing up one tree. Dude, they do like the whole field. Like, how do you? I'd go crazy.
We used to do it when I was on the highway department. Myself, Dougie Cochran, a bunch of us, Jimmy Hustons. We all got together and did the lights. And we didn't do nearly what they do. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of great respect to Allison and her crew that do that, because they've done a spectacular job. And I'm looking forward to the block party. The second block party is just going to be she's doing great things, and it's just awesome to see the community come together and enjoy that day. You know, it's almost like Sundays were back in, when I was a kid and you didn't do anything, you just hung out with friends and family, and that's really what she's creating back in the town of Tyngsborough, and it's awesome.
It is awesome. It really is awesome. It's giving people something to do in their own town, just like you always say, shop local, eat local, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Enjoy local too. Enjoy your town, your local residents and neighbors and whatnot. Have some fun. Come down and hang out. And,
you heard they had a license to serve alcohol one night down there for the adults, which that's
Friday
great.
Night.
That's awesome. And then they had their second night, and it's perfect. And that's what the town needs to bring us together as a community. I mean, we are a small community still, and let's keep it that way so that we can enjoy ourselves and know your neighbor. There's so many people that really don't know it. Take the time to know your neighbor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Say hi, shake their hands.
Sure.
You don't have to like.
Oh, you don't have to have dinner with them.
Right, exactly. You don't exactly.
You might want to share a French fry at the center of town, but I mean, when it comes to going to Burton's, we're out.
But it helps when you know your neighbors, because then when you have a problem too, oh no, whose dog is this? Oh, that's John's dog next door. You can kind of, even things like that, you can rectify little problems. And
I pride myself, my wife and I do, on bringing our children up to help the neighbor, whether it be cutting their grass if it looks like it hasn't been cut, shoveling their driveway, plowing their driveway, wherever. You help your neighbor, and you do not look for anything in return, except knowing that you have a good neighbor and you're a good neighbor. And it's great for the town. We're a small community. That's how it should work.
It also can help to nip some of those neighbor disputes in the bud, too.
Absolutely.
So very helpful. Yes,
absolutely. Communication's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very good. Let's see. What else? So I wanted to chat about the it's cold again. It's been cold, really. I shouldn't say again.
I haven't noticed.
No, right? Oh, my God. But cold and flu season is just, I know we're all getting crushed with it. I was gone a couple days this week, and like I think the middle school, I believe, they had a little bout of a few kids popping into the nurse's office a couple days ago all at once for the same thing. So just be mindful. It's time to make sure you wash your hands, bring hand sanitizer. I wish I'd have thought of that on Sunday, or rather Saturday. There's just lots of.
See, I'll go the opposite. I'll go the opposite of you. I'll say, eat that food that falls on the floor. Get those immunity systems built up a little bit, and you'll live a little bit longer. But that's how I am. There's a 10-second, 20-second rule in my house. If it's me picking it up, might take me that long to bend over to grab it.
In your house, I think is one thing. When it's when you're out, that's the problem. It's like the
now. All right, hold on.
Hands and
hold on. Oh, I thought you were talking about if you dropped food when you're out.
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
So you wouldn't pick it up and eat it?
Oh, my God, no.
Yeah, see, I would.
Okay.
And I don't get sick at all.
Really? You must have an iron stomach.
Very rarely I get sick from a flu bug. Very rarely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a rarity.
So my daughter started preschool. And
you got everything coming home.
Everything. I've never been so sick in the last 6 months. It's brutal.
But I'll tell you, I know a lot of the teachers in the years past at our schools. They're vigilant on having the kids, training, program them, whatever, on cleanliness of that, washing your hands and stuff. So, and then that goes a long way. Especially, let's face it, hopefully we're still not wiping our noses on our shirts at our age, but it happens when you're a kid. So
That's awesome.
Just be thankful we don't do the laundry.
Oh my God, no kidding, right? Sorry, honey. Also, if you've been living under a rock for the last week, we said goodbye to our 41st president, George H.W. Bush, the senior, the patriarch of the family. Yep. So that was a interesting event. It's kind of cool to always watch the big ceremonies that they do. I call them ceremonies, but the funeral procession and all that stuff, because it's such obviously a big deal when a president dies, a former president that is. So
two things I'd point out about that. What a man he was.
Absolutely.
Starting way back in the day as a young teenager,
Yep.
just a spectacular war hero, the whole 9 yards. I mean,
World War II fighter pilot, shot down
amazing.
over the ocean.
Dragged back in.
Yeah, came
So,
back and was still able to go fight again.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, just spectacular. So, excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing family. So,
Yep. They don't make them like that anymore. That's for sure. That the cut of his what's the expression? I forget. The cut of his something. But anyways, yeah.
Let's keep in mind too. We have a kid right here from Tyngsborough that protects the president, the presidents, and homegrown right here from Tyngsborough.
We do?
Yes, Ron Cochran.
Really?
Yes.
Was he on Secret Service?
Yes, he's yes.
That's super cool. I had no idea.
Yes, he's
no way.
Yes, right here from the little town of Tyngsborough.
Really?
Yeah, amazing kid, great family, but Ronnie Jr. as we call, he's just awesome. He's
That's excellent.
what a career he's made for himself.
No kidding, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool. I had no idea. That's
not
really
a lot
neat.
of people do, but
Yeah.
he's there. He's an amazing kid. Amazing kid.
You must be to be on the Secret Service. I can't imagine that's an easy job to get.
No.
You gotta have your you gotta be pretty good in a lot of ways.
Oh, and I mean, let's face it, he's sacrificing a lot.
I bet. Yeah.
So I mean, he's uprooted himself. He lives in D.C. the whole 9 yards, but he's an amazing kid. He worked for me back in the day, and he was learning the Russian language to go off and pursue his career, and
Really?
he did it.
Wow.
So hats off to him also for doing that.
Can you call him and see if he'll grab Trump's Twitter machine?
Absolutely.
Just for the week. Just kidding. I'm only kidding. So a lot of stuff happened. Obviously, like I said, we lost George H.W. Bush. We kind of knew it was coming. He was getting up there. Barbara had passed already, and sort of went the way you kind of figure it would.
You know how it
within a
works. I
very
mean,
short
usually when one passes, if they've been together that long, the other one passes.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. They were a beautiful couple though. So
Yeah, they were.
So we'll say farewell to him. And also today is Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941.
Another amazing day.
Yeah, another amazing day. I had played a little of the audio in the beginning, which didn't play because of the sound. Oh, no, I think it did play, actually, because our mics were off. That's what happened.
Nobody yelled at you?
Nobody yelled at me during that thing, but you got to hear a little snippet of that. That's one of those speeches because America was such very isolationist before the war, before World War II. But then everything changed that day. The whole country's psyche just went from one side to flip to the other side, and everybody was like, from don't do anything to fight. They just went crazy, which was cool. It was amazing to see.
Yeah.
And those speeches, they always give me chills when I hear those things. It's just like one of those things that really kind of
like any animal, once it becomes fight or flight, eventually gets to fight if you can't flight anymore. So that's what happens.
Right.
It's just a natural instinct for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. So another big day in history this week today, actually December 7th. So and we should never forget, because things like that, as we know with history, it can and will repeat itself. So
Absolutely.
Definitely. I mean, we had it happen in 2001. So we definitely need to keep those things in the back of our mind and not forget, because you let your guard down.
Just be thankful we live where we live, though.
That's right.
That's great nation.
We do. Yep, the greatest country in the world.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we have some of the best people in the world fighting for us. The best people, I would say, actually fighting for us, past and present.
Absolutely.
Who have done their duty and continue to do that duty. So we thank you guys all for that. That's why I wear this hat, because that's the respect that I have for the fighting men and women that we have in this country that let us do what we do.
Yep.
We're able to sit here and jibba-jab about random things and bobcats. So.
That's right. We have it easy.
That's right. We do have it easy. We have it.
We'll be home for our holidays, and
right.
our servicemen and women won't. So
right.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
The sacrifice they give.
Excellent point. That's right.
Yeah.
We get to sit home and enjoy our Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner and whatever, and they're out wherever in the world they are doing their thing. So
don't be afraid to walk up and shake his or her hand when you see him, out in the streets, because they do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
Yeah. Say thank you if you're so inclined. Though I have a few friends.
I like to.
I
like to.
I have a few friends who are veterans who actually don't really care for it, to hear thank you, because they're like, well, why are you thanking me? But it's like, well, because you're doing something that I was either unable or unwilling to do myself, or for whatever other reason.
Sure.
And that's my way to say thank you. You're kicking butt and keeping.
I have a great friend of mine who went through the military right out of Tyngsborough here, 34 years in the Marine Corps. Tony Viscarano, hats off to you. He did it for us for 34 years, and it's impressive. It's very impressive.
It is.
So
yeah, the stuff they
it
put
takes
up
a special person.
It really does. And the other thing I think a lot of people, well, it's become more known now, I guess, with PTSD and everything. But we don't know the toll that they take mentally. Physically, you may see it, you may not see it, but you may see, they lost a leg or an arm or a finger or something. But you don't know the toll that they took mentally. So just being mindful that these guys,
they're trained not to, show any of that emotion and everything.
Right.
So. Then they come out of the service after all those years of protecting us, our freedom, and that's why we need to be able to give them the resources they need to come back and get back into the regular life.
Right. Show them support, not only to help them get back into normal daily life, but also into mental daily life, normal mental daily life, so they can reacclimate themselves. Let's say from being a trained killer to just Johnny
regular
down the
guy.
street. Yeah,
sure.
Regular guy. Right. Exactly. So we thank you guys for all the work that you've done. I think we've pretty much hit everything on this list. Yeah, we did. We got through everything. So very good. So that about does it, folks, for the Friday wrap-up. If you guys have any questions, I know a lot of people were tuning in. Thank you to everybody who tunes in and watches these broadcasts. Thanks to everybody who I got to meet at the block party, the Festival of Trees. Tons of people came up like, oh, I watched the thing, blah, blah, blah. It was really cool. It was nice.
You're starting to be quite a hit in town.
I mean, that's not my intention.
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. It's awesome what you're able to do to keep the information line flying through. So you do a good job at it.
Thank you.
And it's always fun to come in here and talk. So
we always have a good time. We definitely have a really good time.
Absolutely.
Chatting. But I don't do it for accolades or for any of that stuff. I do it to get you guys the information. I want you to know what's going on in your government, because otherwise people generally don't know.
Right.
Unless you go to the website and you're trolling that all the time. Newspapers don't report on most of this stuff anymore, and it's kind of getting harder and harder to figure out what's real and what's fake news.
Right.
And then also, what's happening in my town without having to dig through some of the legalese and stuff like that. Not that I get super deep into this stuff, but I try.
Yeah, but it's enough.
Yeah,
it's enough. It keeps people informed, and that's what you want to do.
Right. Even if I'm just scratching the surface, that's enough, I think, to get you at least an idea, so you can say, oh, okay, maybe I should look into this a little further. So, anyways, I wanted to say thanks to everybody who came out and said hi. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear hear things from the people who watch the program. So I like that. I'm pretty much out. I don't have much else. It's going to be a great weekend, though a little chilly. So if you guys have plans, be ready for that. I don't have anything planned this weekend. I'm going to take it easy, finally. I only got a weekend to relax. How about you, Dave? What are you doing this weekend? Anything good?
I'll be busy.
Busy, yeah, waiting for calls and stuff like that.
I'll be busy.
So Dave will be busy. Don't call him if somebody's dog leaves a poop on the thing. Give him a weekend off for that.
Yeah. No, listen, if you step in it, you have to call. That's one thing. That's fine. But just everybody enjoy their dogs and do the right thing, and it'll be good.
There you go. All right. Perfect.
I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Be safe. Enjoy your family time, and let's look forward to another great year coming forward with us.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's right around the corner.
I can't believe this year's gone by as fast as it has. It's amazing. Like, I was looking at the calendar yesterday, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's December.
It's crazy. I mean, I have one more child to finish up school this year at Tyngsborough Schools.
Wow.
It's amazing. He's already 18, and see you later, goodbye after this year. So
you're starting to generate a little kind of Kennedy family thing. You got one of your sons is on the selectmen. You got some things going on here.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. It's busy. Let's put it that way. It's busy.
I can imagine. Well, it's a testament to how you're raising your kids. So I think you did a good job. David's a great kid.
I'll have to say my wife had a lot to do with that.
Hopefully she's still watching and heard. I think she is.
Yeah. So.
Good job. You'll get it.
And I'll give it back to our school systems. Seriously, they did a great job in the elementary early on years of the kids in this school.
Yeah, we have good schools here.
I'm sure there's more than one person out there that'll tell you that, because I've seen it with our school systems. There's great people that come in our town to educate our children. They do a great job. So, and it all starts there. That's where the structure starts.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
We can only do so much. I mean, we have them most of the time, but they get them for 6 hours a day, and that's why I've always told the teacher, if he acts up, do whatever he thinks necessary, because capital punishment still exists at my house.
My wife yells at me when I talk about capital punishment at my house, so I'll leave it at that. But again, weekend's coming up. As Dave just mentioned, it's also Christmas is coming up. December 25th is going to be, it's literally right around the corner. What are we at, 22 days before that happens? So hooray for that.
And a quick little thing to people,
Yep.
if you're out Christmas shopping, lock your car, cover up your
Yes.
gifts you
Oh, my
leave in your
goodness.
car, be smart about what you're doing while you're out. Same thing with walking out into the parking lot late at night. You don't know who's out there, what they're up to, their intentions. So be aware of your surroundings and try to be as safe as you can, through this season, because there's not all good people out there.
Right.
So
That is the PSA of PSAs right there for this time of year. Lock your cars. And I will actually add this on top of that. I do this as a rule. Anytime we go out Christmas shopping, if we're out and about, all of the all of the presents go in the trunk.
sure.
That way, there's nothing
Non-visible.
in the car, non-visible, nothing in the car that anybody could see, because of smash and grab. They'll smash the glass,
Right.
open the door, grab the stuff, and they're off. And then you're out your stuff and a window. So yeah, you
And
just,
try to explain it to your insurance company.
oh yeah, forget about it. They just look at you like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't want to give you anything
Yeah,
for it. So,
so-
and you got to pay the deductible on top of that. So put it in the trunk. That's a great tip, I
absolutely.
think, anyways. And like you
Absolutely.
said, lock your cars, definitely. Don't leave anything valuable visible.
Yep.
Don't leave your phone in the car or anything like that. And take it easy. It's
Enjoy
holiday
it.
time. Yeah, don't fight for things. And if somebody does something dumb, just let it go. It's not
Right.
worth it. It's not worth the trouble.
Not at all.
Yeah. So enjoy the holidays. That's what it's all about. Enjoy the holidays, doing your shopping. Enjoy
Friends
the
and
holidays with your
family, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. So we hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I'm going to see you on Monday with a little news at noontime. So I'll be back doing that, provided I don't catch some bug. Fingers crossed. And then Dave and I will be doing something, I'm sure, in the next couple weeks with this little project that
Yes.
you've been talking about. So we'll just tease it there and leave it at
Yep.
that. What was the Best Friends grand opening again? When was that and where?
It is January 5th,
Okay.
right on Middlesex Road. They are going to be moving into their new facility. I got a phone call yesterday from the girl who's in charge, we'll say, inviting me. She invited me in November, but now she's giving me a tentative date of January 5th that they will be opening, and we'll be doing a little, almost like a informational day for people and stuff. So, and it's a great place. Like I said, if you have to go somewhere and leave your dog, that a facility like that it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah, they do a good job over there. So
Yeah.
So, and don't forget to have your dogs spayed or neutered, as Bob
I
Barker
was just
used
going to
to
say, Bob Barker.
and leashed if
yeah,
you're out there, out
yeah.
and about. So just be careful of that. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to wrap it up now and just remind everybody that you can watch this broadcast on the many places that we put it out on Facebook. You can chime in and ask questions, just like a lot of people have done already. You can also watch it on YouTube, the same thing over there. You can chime in and ask questions. You can also catch us in Tyngsborough on Verizon 29, Comcast Channel 8, and at tyngsboroughma.gov. So you can basically watch us anywhere in the world, anytime you want to. So
I appreciate you having me in too.
You're welcome.
So I'm available to do a little bit of this information for the townspeople that don't normally get to see me. So
Right. Yeah. No, it's I actually like having you on because it helps people to know who you are, first of all.
Absolutely.
And then we, contact information before we run. How do they get in touch with you?
Office 978-649-6569. If it's an emergency, police station 978-649-7504, and they will get a hold of me 24/7.
Excellent. So there you go, folks. So if you have any animal control issues, always or don't be afraid to call.
Barn inspections
Dave
are starting this week too. So
Barn inspections.
Sure.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that at
Another day.
Yeah, that'll be a whole nother show. I'm sure
Great.
that'll be.
I
really
appreciate the time.
You're welcome, Dave. Anytime, you always have an open invitation to come on.
Thank you.
Because you usually have some pretty interesting stuff to talk about. So very cool. So again, folks, have a great weekend. Don't forget to watch us on the various places. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Any questions that you have for me or that you want to have answered, email them in sbrogan@tyngsboroughma.gov, or you can send them in through the Facebook page. Either way is fine with me. All that said, again, have a great weekend, and we will see you all next time, everybody. Take it easy. Bye.